This edition of Revealing Wholeness, Dr. Troy Munson talks to us about the importance of vitamin B in our everyday diet. Stay tuned. Today we're going to talk about how brain fog, fatigue, and circulation all seem to fit together.
Yes. What's fun is this time of year, here we are spring, and people are starting to get outside. They're starting to realize, hey, I feel like doing something because the sun is out. And they come to me wanting energy.
Okay.
How can I get energy? And if you ask most people, what vitamin would you take for energy? They're going to be pretty good, spot on, and tell you, I need B vitamins.
I see.
And so the unfortunate part of that is that they're gonna run to the store and they're gonna pick up synthetic B vitamins.
Okay.
So synthetic Bs, if we go to nature and say, where do Bs occur? And we look at things like egg yolk or liver or brewer's yeast or something like that, we find that these thiamine mononitrates, which is the synthetic form of B1, we find all these B vitamins, but with hundreds, if not thousands, of other phytonutrients that are supposed to be there to make those Bs work correctly.
Okay.
Now, most vitamins have a mineral component. And so here you have a big drug company that's producing thiamine mononitrate from coal tar, which none of us would ever eat in a million years.
Oh, no.
But they're going to produce it from that, and then they're going to sell it to the vitamin company. They're going to repackage it with a couple of other Bs and call it maybe a complex B. And so I'm taking a complex B vitamin, people think. And they feel good for about 2 or 3 days, maybe a week. And then they start feeling no different. And then after another week, they start feeling bad. And what's happening with taking synthetic Bs is that my body, which has all these thousands of phytonutrients because I've been eating food, is now been inundated with these very few high potency synthetic vitamins. And if I'm going to try to use them, I'm going to have to pull from my body the other phytonutrients to try to make them work correctly. So now I'm depleting myself of thousands of nutrients taking synthetic B vitamins.
Manufacturing in a natural B vitamin complex. Is there a line that we could understand as listeners to the difference?
Well, the difference would be one is a piece of it, mm-hmm. and the piece of it is a synthetic, and the natural is like the genuine article, but also with so much more involved. It's, let's say we have a car, okay. And a car has 1,000 parts on it. And so of those 1,000 parts, I give you 4 of them.
Okay.
I say, Bill, here's the radiator cap. Here's the gas pedal because that's important. Here's the key. And here's the gear shift.
But yet you don't have a full car.
No.
So how do you drive the car, or how does the car work without the other parts?
Exactly. And so B vitamins work for a time because I'm robbing from myself to try to make it work correctly. And so I feel a little bit better right in the beginning, but then as I deplete everything, now I don't feel so good. And people will inevitably stop taking them. And they'll sit in their shelf because subconsciously their brain literally said, please stop putting this in me. And they stop taking it. And I find it fascinating. So when I have clients come in and they bring, a bag full of vitamins that they've gotten from, every different store they've been to.
Right. And there's several types and brands.
Yes. And so they bring them in and I start going over what's in these products. And some I'll literally tell them, please don't take them at all. Some I will tell them, throw them around their flower beds. Their plants will absorb them before they do. And some will say, hey, you can take this, but I want you to do it in very small doses and with your biggest meal. Mm-hmm. At least it won't get so lost in the shuffle, or rather I'll have helpers. So if we look at B vitamins, we have all these minerals that are supposed to be with it that really help us in creating all the systems in the body and utilizing those systems correctly with the minerals and the vitamins both. So B vitamins, if we look at them across the board, what do they do in the human body? Well, all the phytonutrients in the Bs go into the cell and help us make the currency of the cell, or the energy user. So you and I, we go and buy something, and we have to have what when we buy it? We have to have money.
Money.
Okay?
Right.
So that's a currency.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the cell, we have this currency that is running all of our chemical reactions. So let's say in your cells, hey, I need some proteins manufactured. Well, in order to manufacture those proteins, maybe it becomes a hormone, maybe it becomes part of an intercellular structure, like an organ that's in the cells. Maybe you're building brand new cells because you've been damaged. So you're producing all these things and you're regenerating. Well, the B vitamins run a lot of that energy process. So we're going to burn up sugar, and sugar is a 6-carbon chain. So it's 6 carbons in a circle. That's what sugar actually is. So if we breathe out, what are we breathing out?
Carbon dioxide.
Or carbon dioxide.
Right.
Where'd that carbon come from?
Well, that's a good point. Yes.
That came from the sugar we burned.
So
we have 6 carbons in the sugar.
Uh-huh.
As we burn that sugar up in our cells and make energy from it, we're breathing out, or the cell's literally putting out of its cell into the bloodstream carbon dioxide.
So that's why we have the carbon dioxide, a situation where if you don't have, like a paper bag
Sure.
up to your mouth or something like that, when you're rebreathing it in or whatever.
Yep.
Very interesting. Not knowing how these things go together is so crucial to figuring out how health goes together.
True. So we're breathing in oxygen. Oxygen is being used in that cycle of producing that energy, and it's being paired with a carbon molecule, and now we're breathing out as carbon dioxide. So 1 carbon per 2 oxygen molecules. So carbon dioxide. So that's what carbon dioxide looks like, a carbon with 2 oxygen molecules. And so we're breathing that out. The plants take that. They take the carbon off of it. They put it into, and they form 6 carbons together, and they make sugar, and we eat that again. And so we have this wonderful, wonderful loop that's happening in our body. Well, to run that process really efficiently and smoothly takes B vitamins. So not only Bs, I mean, we need copper, we need magnesium, we need minerals that all help run that system.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we're eating real food that has good mineral-rich soil, the food that we eat now has all those minerals, plus natural B vitamins, natural vitamin C, natural vitamin E, all these things we do need that do help run these chemical processes. But Bs are by far the big go-round.
The big roll-round is the actual bee pollen and stuff made from the bee itself.
From the bees, yes. And so when we eat things that are rich in B vitamins, we now have a system that uses oxygen better. Mm-hmm. So now all of a sudden I'm breathing better.
Okay.
My circulation is better. My heart now doesn't have to work as hard. And all of a sudden now I have this overabundance of energy. Now my systems are efficient. They're fluid. They're like they were designed. And
that in turn would actually help clarify the brain fog that we hear so much about nowadays.
Exactly. So if we were to go list, I think you can Google this, the top 10 B vitamin deficiency symptoms. And you look at the top 10 psychiatric conditions treated by drugs, you will almost get an identical list.
Isn't that something?
So here we have the brain, which is absolutely vital on things like B6, niacinamide, B3, B1, B12. We have all these Bs that are so vital to how our brain uses oxygen and creates new memories, stores things, all this stuff. So as we take Bs, all of a sudden it's like not only does my body feel better and I have more energy, but my brain is more clear. The brain uses 20% of our energy. You know, it's a huge...
Thinking all the time, yes. Generating all the time.
So we're running through a lot of sugar. In fact, the brain is one of the few organs that just uses sugar. So it can't use protein for fuel. It can't use fat for fuel. It just uses sugar. Okay, so when you get into the sugar, is it the sugar... you hear so many people say, well, don't take that. Use the sugar, phony sugar as I call it, and stuff of this nature. Does that cut back on the vitamin B effect that you have in the brain when you take that sugar out of your system and put in a man-made substance? You know, that's a phenomenal connection. I'm so glad you made that. So here we have synthetic sugars that very much fake out our brain into thinking things, but they're also damaging because of really the byproducts that as we break those synthetic sugars down to what they break down in is dangerous as well. And so synthetic sugars are chlorinated sugars. And so we bombard them with chlorine and we get these sugars. And so these synthetic sugars now can be really, really harsh on the body. And at one point we'll do a whole show devoted to synthetic sugars.
Wonderful.
And that's going to be a great thing, so people really understand why and what's happening when they eat these diet products that we should be
Because there's
eating.
so much right now in the media about diet and sugars and coffee and vegetables and fiber that it's really kind of confusing. So it's nice to be able to clarify that vitamin B does this. And what's the difference between the natural and synthetic?
Now, isn't it interesting that if we burn sugar, why should sugar be so bad for us then? If
That's
what
the
we're
next
burning?
question I was pondering over. Why is it so bad?
Well, if we jump back a couple hundred years ago, we didn't have synthetic sugars. We didn't process sugars. We ate real sugar. Well, what does real sugar look like? What color is real sugar that's straight from the fruit, or let's say the sugar beet?
Very true.
Or sugar cane? What does it look like? Well, it's not white.
It would be brown, wouldn't it? Kind
It's
of
brown.
brownish, yeah.
Why is it brown?
That I can't answer either.
Because what it contains, that sugar nowadays it's processed does not contain, is molasses.
Molasses.
Yep. And so blackstrap molasses is what they get when they process sugar and they just pull the white granulated sugar out. What they're left over with is mostly molasses. And so what does molasses have? Tons of B vitamins. Tons of magnesium, copper, all the trace minerals that our body needs so desperately for our bodies to use the sugar correctly without producing things like diabetes.
Which is a number one killer in the United States today.
Indeed. And so just not processing sugar anymore would have been wise. But that's all we do. And nobody knows any different. And so here we have all these wonderful B vitamins that we absolutely need, and we'll process the sugar. Now it's so incomplete in its form. And so now we're going to try to supplement our diet with synthetic Bs that are so deficient in really any kind of nutrient value. And we're going to try to eke by this.
And we're actually doing damage because A, we're eating more of it, and B, it has less effect of good nutrition for our body.
Indeed, indeed. So here becomes the whole issue. Now, what's even worse is that when B vitamins go away from the system, we start to swell. B vitamins are water soluble. And so when we need them, our body will literally try to swell to search for them. It's trying to store water because it's looking for these B vitamins.
And they're not there.
And they're not there. And so now we have a heart that's swollen. And as the heart swells, it literally pulls away from the valves, and now we have regurgitation happening in the heart. So we have enlarged hearts. We have blood vessels that are now swollen. Well, if the blood vessels are swollen, the blood cells can fly through those capillaries, the smallest blood vessels, without ever touching the side and exchanging oxygen. So now I'm even more fatigued.
You get more run down and more nostalgic.
I've literally seen clients lose 5-10 pounds of water in 3 or 4 days doing correct food-based B vitamins.
Amazing.
It's so profound, and they always come with the same marveling attitude. How does it work so fast?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, nutrients that are correct and in their correct form given to a body, it knows instantly how to perform with that. It's near miraculous. And why shouldn't it? If I drink a beer, do I feel it within a few minutes?
No.
Well, sure I do. If I'm drinking alcohol, I'm going to feel it. Aren't I?
Well, you should, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So
I see what you're saying.
If I feel it quickly, why wouldn't I feel it with something like a vitamin?
Mm-hmm.
And it's that fast, if it's correct. And so people wonder why they don't feel things with other supplements that are probably very inferior, as opposed to taking something that's very nutrient dense.
Oh, okay.
That's the difference.
When you get vitamins, and I know when you go into the grocery store or into the pharmacy, you're looking for vitamin B, and there's 50 different types of vitamin B from 5 million different organizations that say, of course, we are the best there is. Also, it says shelf life on the bottle. What is the actual shelf life of a synthetic vitamin? Do you know?
Synthetic vitamins will last quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they guarantee it to the moment of that expiration of what the potency is.
Okay.
But after time, it's going to degrade just like anything else, and the potency will be less. So they can't guarantee that potency after that date. That's
after
what that means.
Time period of expiration.
Now, that's most. Mm-hmm. I would have to do, and there may be not anybody that even knows this. What do the synthetics degrade into? When they start degrading.
That's right. Where do they go from there?
Who knows what they process down into? Now, most of the time, we can say that if the body is getting it from nature, our body understands, hey, how is this going to break down? How are these